the gate of the infinite mirror, and the first symbol, the spiral of forgotten time. It begins not with a sound, but with a silence so complete, so ancient, that it feels like it existed before the concept of time. I remember the first time I stepped into the ruins hidden beneath the Himalayan ice, where monks had once meditated through storms that could kill a man in minutes. The journey wasn't physical. It never is. It was inward, and it was brutal. You and I, we live in a world of noise, distraction, and endless motion. But what if I told you that buried beneath that chaos is a dimension so dark, so primal, so real, that it makes this world feel like a dream? The fifth dark dimension is not evil. Darkness is not evil. That's a lie we've been sold by those who fear true power. Darkness is the womb of creation. It is the void where all things begin and all things end. And there are ancient symbols lost to time, hidden in forgotten temples, dreamt by oracles, guarded by beings that no longer speak our language that can unlock it instantly. I've touched that realm. I used to think I was chasing enlightenment. But the truth is, enlightenment isn't light. It's the ability to hold darkness without fear. And you can't hold it unless you understand the keys. Now, ask yourself something. What if everything you've ever feared, death, pain, loss, was actually a doorway? Would you walk through it? The first time I encountered the spiral of forgotten time, I was standing inside a circle of salt and bone, carved into the rock inside a cave that echoed in reverse. Yes, in reverse. Every sound I made would echo before I made it. The monks who once lived there said the cave sits just on the edge of the fifth dark dimension. The spiral was drawn on the floor, ancient and crude, but alive. I felt it pulse. I dropped to my knees. Not because I was in awe, but because something pulled me. The spiral is not just a symbol. It is a map of the soul's descent into the unconscious and back out again. It's how you find yourself after you've been shattered. But here's the catch. The spiral doesn't work unless you're willing to lose everything you think you are. You can't carry your identity, your trauma, your pride into the fifth dimension. It will strip you bare. And it starts with memory. The spiral of forgotten time unravels your timeline. You begin to forget your name, your age, your relationships. You remember past lives. You remember things that never happened. And when you come out of it, you are reborn but haunted. Let's pause. If I asked you to forget your entire life, to let go of your name, your family, your dreams, could you do it? Could you surrender yourself entirely to the unknown, just for the chance to see what lies beyond reality? I did. I had to. I needed to know. Because the spiral doesn't just unlock the fifth dimension. It prepares you for it. It tunes your frequency to the darkness. And once you're aligned, the veil lifts. It doesn't tear. It lifts like a curtain opening to a show you forgot you were in. That's when the real work begins. You might be imagining a realm of shadows and monsters. And yes, that exists. But that's not the heart of it. The fifth dark dimension is a mirror, an infinite fractal mirror that reflects every possible version of you: the killer, the saint, the god, the worm, the innocent child, the tyrant king. All of them exist. All of them are you, and the spiral shows you how to meet them. I met myself as a being of light who had burned entire civilizations just to feel something. I wept for hours. I met myself as a child abandoned by gods, screaming into the void. I held that child, and I met myself as a silent monk, eyes closed, breathing so deeply into the void that it began to sing. I listened. This is not metaphor. This is not poetry. This is experience. This is the truth they don't want you to know. The universe is not made of matter. It is made of symbols. And when you activate the right ones, you change reality instantly. And yet, this journey isn't for everyone. It demands a kind of courage that can't be taught. It asks everything of you, even your soul. So I ask you again, what are you willing to lose to discover who you truly are? Because the first symbol, the spiral of forgotten time, is already working in your life. Every heartbreak you've had, every collapse, every time you forgot who you were, that was the spiral moving through you. You just didn't know it. You weren't conscious of the ritual. But now you are, and consciousness changes everything. Let's go deeper. I want to show you what happens when the spiral opens fully. I want you to see what I saw, but you have to promise me something. Don't just watch this. Feel it. Let it stir something ancient inside you. Let the spiral begin, because in the next moment we cross the threshold, and nothing will ever be the same again. The black sun and the language of the void. The spiral pulled me in like a gravitational force, and I realized something terrifying. I was no longer in control. We spend our lives clinging to control over our bodies, our jobs, our relationships, even our spirituality. But the spiral laughs at that. It's not here to give you power over your life. It's here to take it from you, so you can finally meet the real you, the one that lives beneath the masks, beneath the names, beneath the skin. As I sat inside that ancient cave, the spiral began to rotate, not in the physical sense, but in the energetic one. I felt time unravel. Seconds became hours, and hours became echoes of something that had never happened but always existed. I saw the moment I was born, not just in this life, but in others. I saw myself as a priest in a temple of silence, as a warrior who had forgotten why he fought, as a woman who sacrificed her child to save a dying forest. And I saw myself as a being made entirely of sound, singing the universe into form. These weren't memories. They were fragments of the infinite mirror. The infinite mirror is not a thing. It's not even a place. It is a state of being where you are all yourselves at once. It is the second veil of the fifth dark dimension. The spiral opens the door, but the mirror shows you the truth. And the truth is unbearable until it isn't. You and I, we've been taught to believe in linear time, that we are born, we live, then we die. But that's a lie. In the fifth dark dimension, time folds like breath. You are everything you've ever been and everything you will ever be simultaneously. The mirror reflects your divine totality. Every thought, every action, every silence, it's all there. And when you see it, really see it, a piece of you dies, because the illusion of separation dies. I'll never forget the moment I saw the version of myself that chose hatred over healing. He looked at me with eyes made of smoke, and I realized I hated him. I hated that he was me. And then I remembered, the mirror doesn't show you to judge. It shows you to integrate. So I reached out and I embraced him. And in that moment, he dissolved. I absorbed him. And I felt whole in a way I never had before. Let me ask you something. Can you love the parts of yourself that you've buried? The ones you're ashamed of? The ones you pretend don't exist? Could you love your own shadow, not to fix it, but to be it? Because that's what the fifth dimension demands. It's not light and unicorns. It's not endless bliss. It is totality, and totality includes the dark. That's why the infinite mirror is so powerful. It doesn't hide anything. It shows you everything. And only when you've seen it all can you move to the second symbol. But before we go there, I want you to understand something crucial. The spiral and the mirror are not just spiritual metaphors. They are real, energetic structures encoded in your DNA. The ancients knew this. That's why these symbols are found across cultures, across time. The spiral appears in Celtic tombs, in Mayan temples, in Tibetan mandalas. The mirror appears in myths of gods facing their duality, in the trials of shamans who journey into the abyss. These are not stories. These are maps, and they're waiting for you. The first time I consciously activated the spiral, I did it with intention. I sat in darkness for 72 hours. No food, no light, just a single candle and the spiral drawn on the ground in ash. And I stared at it until it began to move. I thought I was hallucinating. But then it spoke. Not in words, but in feeling. It said, "You are ready." And then the mirror appeared. I didn't see my face. I saw my soul. And it was fractured, but beautiful. You might be wondering, why should I go through all this? Why dive into the dark? Why unlock the fifth dimension at all? The answer is simple, because you're already halfway there. Every time you felt lost, every time your heart shattered, every time you questioned the meaning of it all, that was the spiral calling you. That was the mirror showing you a glimpse. You've already walked part of the path. Now you just have to do it consciously. You see, we've been taught to fear the dark. But what if the dark is where the truth lives? What if your deepest pain is also your deepest power? The ancients knew this. That's why they hid these symbols. Not to keep them from you, but to protect you until you were ready. And now you are ready. The second symbol is more dangerous. It doesn't just reveal, it transforms. It burns away your false self until only essence remains. And once you activate it, there is no going back. But before we go there, I want you to sit with this truth. You are not one thing. You are infinite, and the spiral is just the beginning. So ask yourself, if you could see all yourselves at once, would you still love who you are? Because the mirror already knows the answer. And when we meet again, we enter the fire. The final symbol, the serpent crown and the collapse of identity. When you've walked through the spiral and stood before the infinite mirror, there's a shift inside you that no one can describe, only feel. It's the quiet before the storm, and the storm is the black sun. The second ancient symbol is the black sun. It is not a celestial object. It is not made of fire. It is not even black in the way we understand color. The black sun is a code, a frequency, a seed of divine disintegration. It exists in every ancient mystery school, under different names: the dark star, the eye of the abyss, the heart of the great silence. But all point to the same thing: the moment when the soul burns itself to ash and becomes something else. When I first encountered the black sun, it was during a ritual held in complete isolation, deep inside a volcanic cavern in Iceland. The air was thick with sulfur and silence. The monks who led me there said nothing. They simply pointed to the wall where the symbol was etched in obsidian. A black circle inside a ring of jagged rays, like a sun that had imploded. I stared at it for what felt like years, and then it began to speak. Not in words, in language, but not one we've ever written or spoken. The language of the void. You see, the fifth dark dimension has its own syntax. It doesn't use letters. It uses experience. Emotion, silence, pain. The void speaks in paradox. And the black sun is its voice. It tells you things that don't make sense but feel true. It whispers, to become everything, you must become nothing. To rise, you must fall. To live, you must die daily. That's what the black sun does. It initiates ego death, not metaphorically, literally. Your personality begins to dissolve. Your preferences, your beliefs, your likes and dislikes, they fade like smoke. You forget what you were afraid of. You forget what you wanted. And in that terrifying emptiness, something ancient wakes up. You. Not the you show the world. Not the you that posts affirmations and drinks green juice. The primordial you. The one that existed before your first breath. That version of you remembers the language of the void. And when the black sun burns inside you, that language reactivates. I remember the first time I spoke it. I wasn't trying to. I was just breathing through the fear, letting my ego melt like wax, and suddenly I started humming a sound I'd never heard before. It was low, deep, and it vibrated the walls of the cave. The monks began to hum with me, and then I understood them without them saying a word. Because in the fifth dimension, words are obsolete. Truth is felt. Meaning is immediate. And the black sun is the gateway to that state. Let me ask you something. What would happen if you lost your name, your memories, your sense of self? Would you still exist? Would you still be you? This is the question the black sun forces you to answer. And it doesn't wait for you to be ready. It just burns. And as it burns, it reveals. I saw visions, not hallucinations, realities. I saw the birth of galaxies. I saw beings made of pure sound building temples that vibrated with purpose. I saw a version of Earth where humans remembered who they were, not as individuals, but as expressions of one infinite consciousness. No war, no greed. Just the dance of dark and light, balanced perfectly. And then I saw myself, not as a personality, but as a node, or a point of awareness, a flicker of God playing hide and seek with itself. And I wept not because I was afraid, but because I remembered. And in that remembering, I realized something that shattered me. I am you. You are me. We are not separate. We never were. The black sun doesn't just destroy the ego. It dissolves the illusion of separation. It shows you that every other person is a mirror. Every act of hatred is self-harm. Every act of love is self-recognition. And when you truly see it, you can no longer live the way you used to. Because the black sun doesn't let you go back. Once you've activated it, it lives in you. A quiet fire. A gentle hum. A presence behind your thoughts. And it guides you, not with commands, but with resonance. If something is false, it makes you nauseous. If something is true, it fills you with stillness. That's how you begin to navigate the fifth dark dimension. Not with logic, with intuition, with presence, with surrender. But here's the terrifying part. Most people reject the black sun. They feel it awakening, and they run. They distract themselves. They numb. They medicate. Because to let it in means to die, not physically, spiritually. And that kind of death is scarier than anything. So I ask you, are you willing to die before you die? Because that's what it takes to unlock the full potential of these ancient symbols. You must die to the false self. You must let the black sun burn you clean. And only then can you receive the third and final symbol, the serpent crown. It is the most powerful, the most secret, the most dangerous. But before we go there, I want you to sit in the fire of the black sun. Feel what it unearths in you. Let the void speak. Don't rush. Don't try to understand. Just listen. Because the void is not empty. It is full of everything you've forgotten. And what comes next will change you forever.